Welcome to Practicing Precision, the podcast where each week we unpack one big idea about how to grow and run a smarter business without the noise, without the fluff, where clarity beats complexity every time. All right, Jeannie, let's get to it, shall we?
Sure, Ross. What would you like to talk about today?
I think today we are going to talk about websites and how, if they worked properly, your phone would probably ring a little bit differently.
That sounds like a great topic because, everybody seems to create a website, throw it up in the internet, in the ethos, and forget about it. So I think it's a really good reminder that a website is a living, breathing entity and needs to be properly maintained, but more importantly, needs to be structured in a way that really generates leads. If it's just sitting there and you forget about it, chances are the messaging's wrong, loads of things are wrong. So let's get into the nitty gritty and let's talk about how we can improve, or people should consider what should be improved on their number one way that most people see them in the first instance.
Let's do it. But let's remember 15 minutes or less. So let's be brief. Well, we gotta respect people's time here. So, and also, by the way, I mean, come on, somebody throws up a website and they forget about it. No, that's not,
Never
no,
happened.
we've never seen that before. But no, I mean, excuse me, you're absolutely right. I mean, it happens all the time. Or they put up a website, they're super excited about it. They post, for a blog and a news update and a case result and a client testimonial. And all of that activity is so exciting, and they see some results from it. And 6 weeks later, they have forgotten about it. Does that sound
Sounds pretty accurate. But the thing that I think that a lot of folks, we all know about artificial intelligence. It's here. It's going to be with us for the next period of time. But in Websiteville, what people have forgotten is the importance of actually structuring their content so that it is large language model accepted, so that the hard work that they've put in is actually visible to those large language models, which right now are probably taking 30 to 40% of the traffic that used to go directly to Google is now LLM. So if you haven't taken the time to really focus on setting up your architecture in a way that makes it really accessible to large language models, you've made a huge mistake.
I think that's a great point. It's interesting. I would posit that most of the folks listening to this have Googled themselves or their law firm and looked at those results and looked at and oftentimes those results come with competitor, insights as well, right? Necessarily they pop up in the process. I would guess that a minority of the listeners today have asked Chat what they think of, what Chat thinks of their law firm. Ask Gemini, ask, insert AI model here. I would posit that most people have not done that exercise. And it's definitely an exercise worth doing, because more and more and more, that's what your, end client consumer, that's how they're going to find you, or not.
Yeah, it's interesting about people think, oh, I'm putting up my website, my phone will ring, everything's good. But with these new tools in place, you're probably not even being discovered, hence your phone won't ring at all. So that's why it becomes, mission critical to really take the time to understand exactly how all of these pieces lay on one on top of the other, because at the end of the day, if your phone's not ringing, you've got a problem.
I think, categorically, if your phone's not ringing, you have a problem. But I think there's actually even another problem, which is if the phone is, for lack of a better way to say it, ringing right. Are people calling you for the right type of case, for the right product, for the right service, for, whatever your industry is the phone ringing the way you want it too. Are the right people calling for the right reasons at the right time? Also, you don't want someone, who might be, the right client, but then they're just taking up your time because they're considering it, but actually it's going to be a year, maybe 2 years before they actually want to work with you. That's good. You're laying the foundation, but obviously we want people that are going to work with us, dollars in the door today, right? And so I think, oftentimes people forget about that secondary piece of not only is the phone ringing, but is it ringing right?
Correct. In the last week alone, I've done 6 different clarity audits. And in every single one of those, the number one issue was exactly this issue, which is that websites were there, but there was no visibility based on experience level. There were other people in their local market areas that had a much better presence and were getting both the Google search results as well as the LLM results. And on top of that, well, that's the key one, right? They just were being invisible. And if you are invisible, even if you are by far the best practitioner in the world in your local market, you're not going to get what should be the choice clients walking through your door or calling you.
Well, and let's touch on that too, right? Because so many times I can think of so many examples of clients who say, gee, and we never mention names here because this is a sticky subject, but gee, John Doe down the street is getting all of the great cases that I should be getting. I mean, he's got 10 years less experience than me. My results are so much better. Insert, superlatives here of why I should be the one getting those cases. Why is he or she getting them? And oftentimes it's what we're talking about. It's, how clients find that person. So it's really being able to uncover those underlying pieces, the breadcrumbs, if you will, of how you find your way home. And more and more we're seeing the example of that being because folks haven't addressed how AI perceives their business, their service, and that large language model. They just don't have the infrastructure to support it.
Yeah, people long has passed the time where people want the practitioner down the street. They want the quote unquote double inverted brackets best lawyer, best doctor. And how do they make that determination? It's through, in most cases, they're going to ask for a referral from people that they know. But the second thing that they do, even with that referral, is that they're going to go online and start asking the online resources who is best. And that's why this becomes, mission critical. And once again, in those audits that I did, 60 to 70% of the firms that I audited showed a weak differentiation.
It's a great point. And let's also maybe go back to, our last episode and point people back to, go listen to that. Not only do you need to get the phone to ring, but you need to answer the phone right. And more often than not, that is also not the case, which, by the way, translates right back to the topic that we're talking about now. When folks are searching, who's the best out there, part of being the best is not only the best practitioner, but it's also the best, service, the best customer service, the best, client engagement, who's answering, who's calling back, who's following up and keeping their clients informed. All of these things, we can't, as much as we would like to speak in a silo because we only have, we give ourselves 15 minutes or less in these episodes. As much as we would like to address, a single issue, we can't. You have to look at the greater whole. And I think that's, something that folks often, they kind of put the blinders on, pay attention to one topic and, check the box. It's just not how the world works.
And just asking an innocent question, when's the last time you actually checked your Google business profile? Did you know that a significant number of calls will be generated there? But most people, once again, not only do they sit and forget their website, they probably haven't updated their Google business profile in eons. Not only can you update your profile with your practices and service areas, but you can actually make posts there every day if you wanted to. And obviously, since it's a Google property, Google's going to give it priority treatment.
Absolutely. It pops up, immediately when you search for a service, it pops up right there on the top of the results page. So you want to be in that top listing. And as Jeannie mentioned, Google rewards you for, liking them, for showing them some love. That's one of the ways that you could do it. Also, to give it a little bit more of maybe a tangible feel for people that go, what are they talking about? When you click on a business, perhaps, well, we just passed MLK weekend, right? And there's a Monday holiday. A lot of businesses are closed. Well, instead of seeing, for example, holiday hours, the holiday might affect these hours, is how Google tells you. If you proactively say, we are open on this day, or we are closed on this day, you can list holiday hours very specifically. You don't give the customer, that question. Google doesn't present the question of holiday hours might affect. It tells you categorically open or close. And that is one example of why your phone on those specific days, I'm narrowing super, super narrow, but on those specific days, if that's the ultimate, client contact point, then, that's when the difference can be made.
And I think probably the another common thing that we hear is our website gets lots of traffic, but it's not converting into phone calls, right? Oh, our website's really popular. Is it? Is it truly popular?
Is it with the right people? And if it's with the right people, is it easy for them to convert? What are the barriers that you've erected without purpose, without knowledge? But what barriers have you put in place for that person to get in touch with you, if in fact the right people are reaching the right place? I think we've given people a pretty good swath of issues that they can think through, that they can analyze for themselves, and with regard to their business. And of course, we're always happy to talk through it. Any other closing remarks, Jeannie?
Not at all. Just doubling down on what Ross said. We are here if you'd like us to look at your website or your range of digital properties just to see if you are maximizing your footprint. We're here to help.
All right. We'll see you next week.